So let's try this again. Hopefully we got a little sound action going now. From me at least. I don't know. We're going to check it. Who knows? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Maybe after we lost everybody. Now that everything went kind of haywire and we had to come back. But the, I guess, topic is they know. They know. They know. Let me fix the camera because Blizzy's jamming my back here right up into the front. She makes me lean over. See? Yeah, she's behind there. Yeah. She thinks she's the shit. Taking my chair. Not cool, Blizzy. But I love you, so it's okay. Anyways, they know. How do they know? How do they know what they're doing is wrong? Well, because they have trouble with it sometimes. You know, I learned that when I went to court and I got the transcripts where the judge admitted that these shootings are often faked. They have trouble with it. I think some of them do have a moral conflict inside of themselves where they are stuck being a sellout piece of crap and going along with the agenda versus really knowing that it's wrong. And many of them do know that it's wrong. They, at least in my contact with some of these people, have been, oh, you're one of the good guys, which means they are the bad guys, okay? And it is the Masonic conspiracy, whether you want to admit it or not. No matter how many times you research this stuff, what goes behind the Jewish religion, the Judaic religions, the Islamic religions, is these secret societies. And yet we lump them into the Masons because that's what they're lumped into. You know? Their symbolism is shared with them. So whether you want to believe it's the lodge down the street or the super lodges throughout this country, that's up to you. But when it comes down to it, it's a degree thing. The higher they are up in the degrees is whether or not they have the knowledge or they're just a stooge that's going along with the agenda and not fully understanding what the whole thing's all about. But they're involved. And it's funny, I'm going to jump over and show you here that, the whole ridiculousness of this. Okay, the whole ridiculous. Let's just jump over, and I think that's the best way we could do it. Let's just jump over here, and we're going to go here. Let's widen this up here and show you. Okay, this is Wikipedia's Masonic conspiracy theories. Okay. The interesting thing is, as I read this, let me put my glasses on here, is they don't deny anything. What they are saying here is, well, these are conspiracy theories, okay? Well, a conspiracy theory does not mean that it's something untrue. It's just something that's labeled as a conspiracy theory. In theory, a conspiracy theory is actually something legitimate because, that's what it is. And it goes back to, of course, 1833, which the whole question is John Quincy Adams a Mason and just playing the part of the anti-Masonic position after the Morgan affair? Okay, the whole thing about Morgan was supposedly somebody that revealed the secrets and then the Masons killed him. Okay? Now, John Quincy Adams, when he was writing to Edward Livingston here, explained that the anti-Masonic stance in the wake of the Morgan affair, I do contentiously and sincerely believe that the order of Freemasonry, if not the greatest, is one of the greatest moral and political evils under which the Union is now laboring. I think that's how they talked back then. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't there. So anyways, Adams was kind of a leader. The first third party in America was the anti-Masonic party. Because, there was a lot of anger at the Masons for killing somebody, for just revealing their secrets, okay? And their secrets were basically to take over the world. So they killed him for spouting that out. But, if it goes along here, that they talk about how the British judiciary system is heavily infiltrated by Masons who give fellow Masons the benefit of the doubt in court, subverting the legal system. Oh, yeah. Well, we know that's true. That's true. If you got a judge that's a Mason, a prosecutor that's a Mason, and a lawyer that's a Mason, whoever's highest ranking is going to win. Okay, it doesn't have to do with what's right or wrong. They just change whatever political stance is, and this guy wins or that guy wins depending on what the Masons want. That is the court system. I think most people are in agreement that, yeah, we know the court system is bullshit and it's all Masonic. Okay? But yeah, it gets into the whole thing, which, the theories between the Illuminati, including the Knights Templars and the Jews and this and that. And people do got to understand. And here's the interesting thing. They say that, the conspiracy theory that groups such as the Ku Klux Klan and the Orange Order are intimately tied to Freemasonry. Well, they are. Albert Pike helped Brene Brown form the KKK. It's not a conspiracy. Okay? And then it talks about Skull and Bones and the Rhodes Society. Well, let's see here. All right? We've had... in the last presidents I can remember, we had Rhodes Scholar, which was Bill Clinton, okay, George Bush and George Bush, Skull and Bones, Reagan, Bohemian Grove. I mean, yeah, come on. It's just, of course they're going to throw in a little bit, that Freemasons worship the Satan and all this crazy stuff and go further in this and that, but what they actually believe. And here's the interesting thing, where they talk about Yahweh and the different names for Jesus and whatnot. That's actually a Masonic thing. Okay, so when you hear, I'm gonna jump back over just so I can get into explaining this a little bit more. Shit. All right, here we are. I'm back. When you hear people talking about Yeshua, okay, or Yahweh or this and that, and there's nothing wrong with it, and there are different names that can be used for Jesus. I mean, that's fine. I mean, in theory, would Jesus even be a legitimate name? None of these names would be legitimate for anything that they can't prove in the first place. So it doesn't really matter what you call the Christ or whatever you want to call him. You can call him Banana Head. It doesn't make a difference, to be honest with you. Really, and people get pissed at me. Hey, Jay calls Jesus Banana Head. Well, really? Really, does it really matter? Really matter? If there's something that you can't see, you can't touch, and, I had it in a dream, baby Jesus came to me. Shut the frick up. So anyways, if you have this mental illness where you're, fantasizing things to be real and you can't prove them, it doesn't matter what you call them. It really couldn't, it doesn't make a difference whatsoever. It really doesn't. But that's the world we live in. It doesn't make a difference what you call any of these people. If you can't prove who they are or if they exist, then it doesn't matter. And it's okay to believe in these people. Hey, listen, I think religion is so important. So important. Because look at all these people, these morally inept morons that work for our federal agencies and are behind these false flags and everything else that's being done. They're morally incompetent. They're morally lacking freaking all of it. It's just, Jesus is a metaphor, yeah. It's all a metaphor. And there's nothing wrong with those metaphors. And I think, religion is good for all those dumb people out there that can't behave without religion. Matter of fact, I think more of these Masons need more Jesus, because apparently them not believing Jesus has led to the fact that they can't morally do anything correct. But while we're on the topic of insanity, let's talk about what happened last night with Chris and Zach with that whole thing. I think it was pretty prevalent that this kid or this guy, I mean, I would say kid because there's the maturity level and understanding of what's going on in this world was so low. It was unbelievable. So young. But he was mentally disturbed. I think that was pretty prevalent, and that was one of the reasons why I got rid of the video, is because you almost have to feel sorry for people like that. He was mentally ill. That was a mental illness. And then it was really weird with Kathy O'Brien calling in. And then I'm like, yeah, I always thought that guy was MK Ultra, but I mean, it was just, you know, I'm not saying, I don't know why Kathy may actually just be interested in some of the topics, and she has the right to be too, but it was just weird that she called in. I thought it was weird. But anyways, you know, the whole thing with Chris Dorsey being severely, you know, he came off as very mentally disturbed. And, you know, the more you looked at it, it was like, you know, when we see what was going on at 153 and all this, they're trying to play the side of, oh, yeah, we favor guns, but we're looking so crazy. That way we can show you how crazy people are that are into conspiracy theories. That way it's justified when they come after the guns. And Dorsey's kind of one of these things where you start to think, you know, he's so crazy. Maybe he should not have a gun because he's a little unstable there. And you see how they play this, where, all right, well, we're going to justify to the truth community all our new red flag laws that show that mentally ill people shouldn't have guns. And that puts us in a position where, like, oh, shit, how do we handle that? Because in one sense, all right, well, maybe people like him shouldn't have guns because it's a little scary. But we also understand that, you know, our constitutional right affords a person the gun. And if he's able to maintain himself in society, you know, without continuously hurting people or something like that, I mean, no, we shouldn't take away people like that's guns. I mean, I think if you're able to maintain yourself, even if you're completely insane and you're not hurting people, yeah, I mean, nowadays we need everybody with a gun in case we ever have to have a war with our own government and such. So it was kind of a weird situation where I think they wanted to play that part in front of everybody. They wanted to show that these conspiracy people are crazy, and some of them are so crazy they shouldn't have guns. And you know, he's a dangerous person when he could be being used as a little tool for MK Ultra or something, where he might do something irrational, and it justifies people involved in the conspiracy world to have their guns removed. So people like him need to be watched out for. And to be honest with you, I think we need to make efforts to find people like him in the truth community and explain to them, listen, you need to start acting more rationally. If you can't, you're going to be ridiculed in this truth community, because we cannot allow the truth community to look so insane. You know, you need to start proving your background. You need to start proving, you know, that you're not involved with one of these secret societies. You need to prove your life's history. Where'd you go to grammar school? You know, where'd you go to middle school? We want to make sure that you didn't go to some crazy MK Ultra hospital, because, you know, we don't need programmed people out there that are going to ruin the truth community. So, you know, that whole thing was kind of a little bit disturbing, you know, and I think Zach understood that, and that's why he deleted the videos, because it was sad. It was sad. The guy obviously can't hold his mental faculties together. It's just complete insanity. And, you know, when you even look into him, this guy, like, created his own Virginia militia, not even a part of, like, the real militia. And then he's got, like, he looks like 3 different actors, and it's just really bizarre. So, yeah, that whole thing was kind of scary. But, you know, going back to the Masonic conspiracy, it's been out there for a long time. And, yeah, we can blame Jesuits, but when you really look at it, they're just another group of Masons. You could blame the Chabad, but like Brene Brown, their rituals, they're just another group of, like, Masons. Masons is a weird way of lumping them in. And then you lump them into the Illuminati, and then everybody's seeing the picture of the stars doing their little symbols with their faces and their eyes. And when that happens, people don't take the idea of the Illuminati legitimately. And of course, the Masons, when people hear the Masons, they see the guy that's doing some charity work in the community, and of course they can't lump the idea of all these evil things being done in with the Masons. So I almost want to think we need to call the people. You know, that's why I came up with the tree of death gangsters in the past, because they practiced the Kabbalah, they practiced the gematria. They, you know, it's a ritualistic thing, and you know, I thought they are gangsters. They've been called gangsters by people that couldn't really think of a name to pin them with and throughout history. So the gangster in there, and I added the tree of death, you know, just because of all that Kabbalah shit. But we do need to almost make people understand that it's a real thing, you know, and we keep on chasing down, blaming everything. Listen, they know that a large portion of the evils are going to get blamed on the Jews, and they're going to help that go along. And even some of the Jewish, you know, organizations like the ADL and B'nai B'rith are going to even promote that and do things to make them look even more evil, so that they take that little brunt of the way misdirection. They are the ultimate scapegoats in this whole thing, and it's almost a shame that so many of them, so many people in the Jewish community are so brainwashed to not understand this. It's actually quite disturbing, because they're almost more victims than we are in some sense, because they're clueless to what they're really being blamed for, and you know, not only that, as I think they've been manipulated into making going along with like these ADL agendas that make them look bad, and they don't even understand that they make them look bad because they believe in the bullshit that they've been programmed to believe. Does that make sense a little bit in a way? I hope it does. Yeah, and it's all Masonic, and you know, that's the whole thing. And I think a lot of these ancient knowledges that they possess, that they hide, when you start to really look into them, a lot of it was more tribal. And it's like they took and stole a lot of tribal or indigenous groups' knowledge. All right, they took that knowledge and then spent a lot of time, you know, pushing their, whether it was Christianity or different, you know, political systems, governmental systems, into those indigenous areas, destroying the history of those people, understanding even their own knowledge. And then, of course, the Masons take that knowledge and use that against us. You know, I mean, you look at some of these ancient languages, and you start to, you know, as I learn some, you know, I've been trying to learn a little more Mi'kmaq lately, or Mi'kmaq is the way to say it. And the resonance in the vowels and the sounds is so much life in itself. It's like a whole new frequency being generated by the words that are being produced. And you start to realize, wait a second, some of these ancient languages, the resonance of the words or the sounds created, you know, a different frequency than our own language. And is our own English language a trap in itself by us not using these different ancient resonance that could have maybe made us more in tune with the earth itself? I don't know. But it's very interesting to start learning and understanding some of this ancient languages, because I believe a lot of this ancient language is ancient knowledge, you know. So we need to not allow organizations like what you would call the Masons, because whether they were Templars at the time, whether they were Jesuits, assassins, the Rosh Hashanah in Afghanistan, one of the oldest groups of the Illuminati that are known for founding some of the ideas of socialism. Okay, we need to make sure that they stop stealing knowledge, hiding it, harboring it. And what they do or have stolen needs to be returned to its rightful owners. You know, because there's a lot of indigenous people throughout this world, whether they're Native Americans or Native tribal Africans, or even in you know different places throughout the Asian continent, that they seem to be lost touch with their their ancient languages, their ancient knowledge. When it comes down to it, the Garden of Eden, the garden itself was this earth where people lived in tune and in touch with the earth and seemed to do fine for a very long time until the builders come along. You know, we all like our modern day conveniences, but what have we lost with these modern day conveniences? We lost our touch with nature. We lost our ability to be more in tune with the earth and actually be happy without stuff. Okay? If you look for thousands of years, many natives, you know, they were happy with their, you know, they weren't really teepees. You know, they try and sell the whole teepee idea, but a lot of them were more like little Quonset huts as far as what they built with animal furs. But they had to have been happy for quite a long time, especially as I am learning some of this older, you know, the native language. You find out, like, their phrases, the words they use were all about sharing and peace and friends, and it wasn't warrior type of language. You know, there may have been some tribes that were more, you know, protagonist types, but you know, a lot of the languages I see it is very soft. It's very welcoming. It's saying, hey, how are you doing? Help me help you build this fire. Stuff like that, you know. Me and you. Bury the hatchet. The whole story of the bury the hatchet. That's burying the hatchet. Putting down the war to make friends. You know, instead of, you know, what we're told. And, yeah, so I'd like to see a lot of that knowledge returned, because they stole so much from this world. They built the garden into hell. That's exactly what they did. They built it right into hell. To me, I think that's scary. To me, I think it's really scary, and I don't know what the hell we're gonna do about it. Don't know it all, but I don't know. We'll see you till next time.